I've got to All For United WFC. Yes, it's been a while, hasn't it? It's only we say this every time. It's only been a week, but it feels like forever because we're so used to doing 2 shows a week, or sometimes 3, and we only did 1 last week. So yes, it feels like it's been a lot longer than maybe it has done on that one. So yeah, apologies there was no preview for the Leicester game. We were scrabbling around. It's busy. We're getting to the busy end of the season, and people are not as available as they usually are. Hence, no Charlie today as well. She is currently. I'm starting to think it's a Monday thing for Charlie because she's missing. I think that's like 4 out of the last 5 Mondays. We're seeing Gurerro more than we're seeing Charlie on this channel. I think on that one, but there we are. So as you can see, we've got Andrew, we've got Barry usually to go through this one. Again, it's not a whole host to get through in the game, but we'll find some talking points, I'm sure. We've got, you know what we do. I said to Barry, this might be a shorter one. And he goes, yeah, well, no, we're for the long haul now. So I always say that. It's going to be a bit shorter and then we'll be all right. For people who didn't watch, I did a TikTok live yesterday on the All For United WFC account. I said I'll do 20 minutes, 1 hour and 50 minutes later. I was still going.
So, time's just not your friend, is it, Connor?
No.
It doesn't do units at a time. Like, he'll send you a message and he'll go, I'll talk to you soon. And soon for Connor could be 3 to 5 business days. Like, you can never quite be sure. So, yeah, time is not your friend.
Yes, it was. Yes, you were. Thank you to everyone who did join, by the way. There was so many of you. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, the amount of people that joined yesterday and asked loads and loads of questions about the game. So, we... Nor me. It actually went on for. I'm really going off a tangent, but it actually went on for that long. I had to fill out like a little puzzle thing because it thought I was like not there anymore. So I was holding the phone for that long. But well, there we go. So we got. Oh, look at this. This is nice. It's usually like taking the mick. Thanks, Ernie. Thanks, NC, for that one. I'm glad you noticed. Yes, I'll get through all your comments. You what? Sorry.
Plenty of time for that.
Oh, we don't go into all that. Oh, God, we're delirious tonight. Anyway, should we get into the game? Talk a little bit about that. We'll start with the lineup because there was obviously a few changes to talk about. Miyazawa came in. Obviously, Geyse came on the right-hand side, Malard down the middle, Golden on the left. Obviously, it was the usual kind of back line, although it was Blundell back in the TV for Mannion, wasn't in the side. So there was a few changes in there. Andrew, I will come over to you first, actually, on this one. In terms of, was that kind of what you expected? Did you think there was going to be a few changes? Because we were kind of talking about stage, weren't we? That if he was going to make changes, it was probably going to be this game.
Yeah, it was going to be likely to be this game for all the changes. It was like probably maybe the one surprise because I thought Tooney's been playing virtually every game that she was the one to drop out, but it was good to see Miyazawa get some minutes on the pitch. Coming back from her injury as well. So, but other than that, it's just like I thought. Would Keats start as well, but obviously it's giving Malard and Geyse a chance, and say because Geyse didn't play in the game against Chelsea as well, so it was just like, and it was like, well, it's good to see her back as well. So, but yeah, just Tooney was probably the surprise. She was sitting on the bench, but she more than made up for it when she did come on there.
Since we've certainly got a lot to get into when we talk about Tooney as well. And to be fair, I want to highlight Miyazawa as well because I actually thought she was quite good in the game as well. So her replacement didn't do too bad either. Early, no, I wasn't actually. I wasn't just getting this cut just for this show. So I'm not that sad. For people who saw me yesterday, it was cut yesterday. It wasn't just for the show today. Barry, obviously, we didn't do a preview, so we didn't get, obviously, our thoughts on what we thought the lineup might be and all those kind of things. But again, was that kind of what you expect? I'm trying to think how many changes it actually was from the Spurs game. I think it was 3 from the start of
11. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Hannah came in for Aoife. Miyazawa in for Toone. They're the main ones. Listen, I think we've said it all along. I think what a manager should do is to give players the opportunity to play, especially when you get to these sort of games. Now, we've already had a game against Spurs and it didn't necessarily go quite how we would have liked it to go. For me, I said it before, really you had 2 or 3 games to be able to rotate a little bit, try out some new formations if you need to. It's literally that sort of situation because the league itself has gone. Yes, we want to finish 4th. We don't want Liverpool to give us our worst WSL finish, because that will sting a bit. So you're in a situation instead where we've got to, in my opinion, rotate a bit. And I just don't understand why we haven't made more changes. Like, this is a game where if you were going to drop Katie's Ellen today, yesterday would have been the day. Give Hayley Ladd a go. Give her the opportunity to go in and see if she can wrestle away an FA Cup final spot. People talking about Gurerro. Absolutely. Why not? Why did Lisa Nielsen need to play again? It was quite possible that she could have come in and played and done quite well in the midfield. I just think there were players there who potentially had the opportunity. Like, we brought Malard on, superb. Good to see her playing and being given that opportunity as well. I know what he's talking about when he says he wants the consistency and therefore the things that come from that. But you're not necessarily at this stage of the season in need of that. We needed consistency last season. We were fighting for the title. We weren't. Absolutely, James. Yep, Fallon. Another perfect example. We could have had Fallon Tullis-Joyson instead of Mary Epps. And not for any reason that the players are playing badly or poorly or anything like that, but just an actual chance for players to really try and get, a fighting chance to have a game in the FA Cup final. So, yeah, for me, if anything, I was probably a little bit disappointed because, the Liverpool game, we win that, we finish fourth. So it didn't really matter. I'm just, a little bit annoyed that we've hit this point against Leicester, of all teams, who were never going to come out and batter us. And I think we could have used our players a little bit more and given them a little bit more time. I mean, Hayley Ladd, who's had barely any time at all, one of the last people to come on. It's quite mad. And the players that have come on, obviously, Garcia and Paris coming on. These are all players that have had an opportunity. So I think for me, it would have been nice to have seen some of these people. And I agree, Dave. Skinner probably does know his side for Wembley, but that's the whole point I'm trying to make. That's your motivation. Like, we're all sitting here talking about what's the motivation about going out there to play against Leicester in a game where you can't win the league and it has no bearing on the end of the season, really. That's the one. There's your motivation. You lot, as it stands, you're not my Wembley team. Go out and give me something to think about. Make me go home tonight and go, do you know what? PTJ was really good in goal. Hayley Ladd, she wasn't too bad there. Maybe we don't play Casey to begin with. Maybe she starts to force the issue a bit more. Create competition. That's where you can do it. Not just halfway randomly through the season. That was the perfect carrot and stick and hasn't been used. So I'm quite disappointed would be the answer to that.
I think that's it, isn't it? Because like we've said before, like I can understand earlier in the season, like although I wasn't a massive fan of it, I kind of get it. Top three was still a possibility. You're still kind of fighting. But like, at this end of the season, in a game that, like I said, it's not like we performed excellently anyway. And the team has been drifting for weeks. We've said that, I think, ever since obviously the Spurs game was kind of, we felt it at Ellis. It just kind of just drifted along and was just a bit like, and you can see it in the play. And I want to get to the game in particular in a second, but like you can see it in certain players. They're kind of not going into tackles as, and I get this, by the way, they're not going into tackles as hard. They're not running that extra yard because they don't want to get injured, do they? They're not going to want to get injured for the final and obviously miss that occasion and so on. So I get it from their point of view. They're not going to do that. But like you said, if you've got players that are on the fringe, in terms of, like you said, at the moment, it's Ladd, it's Miyazawa, and these types of players, but they're not given that opportunity over a period. Ladd came on and I think it was like the 88th minute. It's late. You're not going to make an impression in a couple of minutes, particularly not in a defensive midfield role and kind of where she came on. So it's a shame. I agree with you. I thought there was going to be more changes. I understand at the back, we don't have a whole host of players lining up. But like I said, the likes of Hayley, start Hayley in this game. Why not? I want to get to Gurerro as a separate point, and loads of people have asked about it in the chat because that is really strange for me. But while you just brought up Mary, I was going to ask this toward the end, but while we were talking about it, were either of you too surprised? This one coming from JJ. When Mary went down, Now, she was down. I think watching it back on the FA player for about 8 minutes, she went down. Obviously, it was a collision to the head, which is why the play was stopped. I think it was more to her face, obviously, around the back of her head. Everyone around me, we were all saying, just take her off. There's no need for the risk. She's obviously been hit in the head and everything else. Fallon is right there. And still, we're not seeing that change. And that bugged me more because it's like, if in an injury like that, it's really not worth the risk. Andrew, I don't know whether you've got any thoughts on it as well, in terms of even starting Fallon, but certainly at this moment, I'd expect her to come on.
Because it was like a mad scramble in the box, and then as it was cleared away, and then they all started, and we were just looking, and Mary was down, and then they all, Fido's rushed on as well, and was like, and then you could just see them like holding a neck, and I thought, was a head injury, and then you could see Fallon to the side of us, was like, and she's really doing an intense warm up, was like, she's ready to get on, and then Mary sat up, and then I don't know, somebody said, it was like, see like the cotton buzz being stuck in her nose, so they said, it's just a nosebleed as well. So I think she just got caught by something, and she was bleeding from the nose. But I don't know whether, Mary, she ain't gonna give up that position very easily. You got to basically drag her off, kicking and screaming. She'll be in goal with one leg if she has to. But it was in that game you could have substituted Mary and just give her some rest as well. So was it worth taking the risk? But Mary's just a strong person. She, as I said, she ain't gonna give up that position too easily. So, but it was a bit of a concern. I just thought, this is a couple of weeks before the final. I'm thinking she didn't want to be getting it in any way possible. So good that she was all right in the end, but for Fallon, it's just like she probably thought, here's my opportunity to make an impression.
And that's the thing. So Fallon now obviously isn't going to play a single WSL minute. And someone has made the point in the chat, Mary has played every single WSL minute since coming to United. So I get it, and it's tough to take her out of that equation. But I just feel like in previous seasons, we've always been on the edge of fighting for third, or last season we were going for the title and so on. This season we're not. We're out of it now. So why not give Fallon a go and so on? And it must be tough for her, especially if Mary does stay in the summer going into next season. Fallon's essentially signed to be the cup keeper, and I'm pretty sure she probably wasn't promised that when she was coming in. So it's like, I don't know. I feel for her a little bit.
What did Mark tell Fallon when he signed her? That's the question. I know Mark, he likes to be consistent with his side, when the team is playing from week to week, but then I don't know whether, as I say, is it a bit of stubbornness? Like he doesn't want to make too many changes, and disrupt the rhythm of the team as well. So it's a bit of it's one of those. He makes too many changes, and then it all falls apart. Or if he doesn't, then I don't know.
Yeah, it's certainly, like I said, I don't. Like I said, I didn't think. Well, I knew Fallon wasn't going to start anyway, but I thought in that moment, as you said, she was warming up. Really, you could see it. I thought, okay, finally, we're actually going to see Fallon in the WSL. We've not seen this yet, but obviously no. You only have to look at Chelsea. They've had 4, or they loaned one out, but 3 keepers. This season they've played all 3. Because they do rotate the keepers and so on. We can't even rotate 2. And I get it. Like I said last season, like I just said a second ago, last season you don't do that when you're pushing for the title because you want to keep that consistency. We purposely argued that on this channel, about keeping it consistent last year to keep the wins kind of ticking over. But I don't understand it this season. Obviously, Barry, you just said this. It doesn't fill you with much motivation if you're on the bench because you're like, well, I'm not going to play. For a goalkeeper, it's different because you're fighting for one position. I get that. But I will ask this before we get onto the game, actually, while we're talking about players' minutes and so on. Is anyone else, I guess worried is a strong way of putting it, but Irene Gurerro, we have not seen her, I think this is Brighton in the Cup, I think it was. She came on for 14 minutes. Before that, she didn't play for a while as well. Then obviously, before that, she was injured. But she's repeatedly on the bench. And I tweeted this yesterday. For me, what's even more worrying, she's not even getting pity minutes. She's not even coming on for the last minute of a game, to see a game and just to get an appearance. Barry, do you think it's straight? What's going on? Because we signed her, and I genuinely don't know how many minutes she's played, but it's got to be less than a few hundred. I genuinely do not remember her actually coming on and playing.
Again, I've said this earlier on this season. I don't understand why we buy some players. There's lots of people going, they're sad for Irene. You know, I don't feel sorry for football players in that respect. I didn't feel sorry for Vilda Bo-Risa. I didn't feel sorry for Jackie Gronan. At the end of the day, you've been purchased for a reason, and it's your job to break yourself into that team. My question would be, why is she not breaking into the team? Now, we know full well she's a World Cup winner. From what I recall, she didn't start very often, did she, in the Spain team?
No, I have a feeling though she had about the same amount of minutes in the World Cup as she had for United this season. I think it's about the same.
To be fair, though, the World Cup's only about 6 or 7 games. This was
that's my point
in the season. But what I'm getting at there is she's not a starter, so it's not like we're sitting there and going, "Oh my God, we've benched Bonmatic." You know, that's not what's happened here. But we have benched someone who is part of the World Cup winning squad. Now, what matters for me there is that clearly there must be some ability. You don't get called up to your national team. Now, part of me wonders if part of it is a bit like Adriana Leon. Has there been problems? Is there a drama? Is there just a bad attitude? It certainly seems to come across from Leon, and especially the way she's behaved since she's gone, that she wasn't very happy. So is there a problem there? Equally, you then wonder, is it a bit more like Tunkara? But what really worries me, as I've said before, is that players are being bought and they're not getting the chance to play. And I include Talis Joyce in this. Anybody can sit here and say, Mary Epps is a WSL keeper. She's had 100 games. Brilliant. No problems. She's played every minute. Excellent. She's fighting for clean sheets. No problems. None of those things are a drama. What bothers me is that Talis Joyce wasn't given a chance in the Cups. Conti Cup, there was still Mary Epps starting these games. Like, Fallon's made, 1 or 2 starts, I think?
She played Conti. Fallon played
Sorry?
Conti. Fallon played Conti. She didn't play FA Cup, though.
She didn't play every Conti game, though.
I think she might have done.
I don't think she did. I'm going to go and check that because
I think she did. She definitely played against City and Liverpool because she made that great save in both games. Who else are we having? The Conti, Leicester, and
Leicester.
Anybody else want to Google? I don't think she has, but I'm going to check it. And even if I haven't, she didn't play in the FA Cup. She did. People shouting at me. I'll go and check. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's absolutely fine. Lots of people shouting at me. It's not looking good for me, but a bit like Skinner, I'm going to sit here and be stubborn until I've seen it with my own eyes. But it's just frustrating because where are these players coming from? Does Mark Skinner choose them? If he does choose these players and then he chooses not to play them, that's just another nail in the coffin of Mark Skinner for me, because you've chosen these players, you've brought them into your club, and you're not even giving them a chance. So the only argument here is that it can't be Skinner that's buying these players, or that he buys them and then they just don't turn out to be as good as he expected them to be, in which case he's not very good at looking at a player. So if anything, he's just causing himself more trouble, because it's all right 1 or 2 players going wrong. We've seen that in football across the years. What we haven't seen is this level of purchasing a player and not playing them. This is Donny van der Beek-esque. But the difference was Van der Beek would have time to play and just turned out to be awful. So that's why he didn't play anymore. Gurerro has not come on and done anything wrong because she's not been able to come on and do anything wrong. She's not had the opportunity. And a game like this was absolutely perfect. Throw her in there. Drop Zedham, stick Gurerro in if that's what you really want to do. Or drop Lisa Nolson, rest them, whatever wording it is you want to use, and give her the opportunity. Because that game yesterday, absolutely pointless. Absolutely pointless, because nobody was really, like you say, 100% in the game. These were just players that were just seeing the game out. And like I say, you turn around to Gurerro and you turn around to PTJ and say, you're not in my plans. I'm not expecting to put you in for the final. Show me why you should. I reckon we'd have won that game 5-6-0.
It's interesting you said Gurerro. I've just had a check. So she's played 29 minutes in the WSL since we signed her. which is absolutely mental. I think I've been closer to the pitch than she has in the WSL I've seen. She did start in the Conti. She definitely started at City away. She probably started. I can't remember back to the Conti games, but I feel like she would have. I have a feeling she was injured though for the back end of like November, December, so she probably missed that Conti period. But 29 minutes in the WSL, like what that is, I've just checked. That is the lowest in our whole squad, barring Fallon, obviously, who hasn't played. Evie's not had a single minute. Ahern's not had a single minute. Bar those three, she is the lowest by quite some margin in terms of minutes played. I think it's Eva Mannion just above that, who obviously has been out, and Gabby George as well, who obviously has been out for the majority of the season as well. So there's. I didn't think that stat was real until I just went and looked at it, but that is correct. And I agree with what Lot's saying there. You know, it's very weird. And obviously, I was very vocal about it at the time, and I still will be. You know, the fact that we forced a player out that wanted to be here, that had passed the Skinner initiation or whatever you want to call it. So we did that to get a player in that then doesn't play like at all. And I go back to the point, there was no point. I think someone said it was probably one of the worst like swaps or signs we've done. I agree, because there was no need. We may as well have just kept Bo Risa, and maybe Bo Risa wouldn't have played as much either, but at least we would have had a player there that would have played for the club for a couple of years. Well, I'm not saying Irene isn't, but like obviously well established, well liked in the dressing room, and we wouldn't have had all the issues last summer that we had by forcing her out. So I just don't see why we went down that route for a player. And granted, the only thing I was obviously Gurerro did miss like a month. I think it was months, 2 months. She was definitely injured for a while. But there's other games. This game for me is a prime example. Like you said, Barry, a second ago. It's Leicester away in a league that, we're fighting for fourth. And obviously, I want to get fourth and obviously win the cup. But like, I agree with you. I think if we'd have gone out with a team like like people with a point to prove, I think we would have. Because for me, the best performing players on the pitch were players that looked like they had a point to prove, i.e. Malard, obviously Geyse on the right. I thought Miyazawa was great. These kinds of players for me were the best on the pitch, and they're the ones that haven't played as much recently. So, yeah, I'm not a fan, personally. Just reading back up to some of the comments while I go. Yeah, Joe said, obviously, that whole swap deal looks bad since Gurerro hasn't played. No, and Vilda's doing really well in Spain, so fair play to her. She's kicked on and doing well, so obviously I'm happy for her. It's a bit of a dent on us, and I think Barry, you just said this. Like, if it's one or two players, you kind of go, okay, like maybe it's a bad sign and it happens. These kind of things. When you've got like 4, 5, 6, 7 examples over the last 12 months, yeah, it's not good at all, in my opinion. He says Sunday felt like a kickabout. Yeah, it wasn't good, was it? Should we actually get into the game itself? So we're 22 minutes in. We've not spoken anything about what happened on the pitch. I'm just scrolling back at the comments to see if I've missed any kind of questions in there. Obviously, Lot saying it, Irene. She came on against Everton, assisted. I think she got injured a little bit after that. She was out for like 4 weeks. Then she was back in the squad. I'm just looking here. She was back in the squad for a bit. In the new year, she came on 20 minutes against Newcastle, started the Conti Cup. Then 8 minutes, 13 minutes. On the bench, 14 minutes, and on the bench for 7 consecutive games. So, yeah, lack of minutes for her. I feel like Barry's fact-checked something.
I take it back. She played every single one of the WSL Cup games, the Conti Cup. I've just checked all of them. You're absolutely spot on. I think I was annoyed. I remember being annoyed at her not starting a cup game, and I think it was the FA Cup one after we'd gone out thanks to the Aston Villains. Who cheated and still managed to play in the cup, and I think I was very annoyed because I said that was unfair, really, that she's missed out on a chance to play in the cup against some teams that, let's be honest, would be expecting to beat. But I was absolutely wrong. I'm capable of admitting when I'm wrong.
Well, Fallon could have played the FA Cup because we had Newcastle and Southampton. Yeah, she could have played in one of those.
Correct.
But there we go. Major talking point about the game was it was a snooze fest. It wasn't great, was it? I mean, Andrew, I'll just ask you straight off the bat in terms of that first half. That was probably the most, not the most frustrating, because ultimately it doesn't really matter. And I was just kind of watching it going, here's what it is. But I don't quite know what I was watching. We'd seem to get the ball like around the two centre backs, which we like to do. It always goes from Mayer to Millie, back to Mayer, back to Millie. Then Mary might get it. But the amount of space up for me on our side where Jason and Lisa Nelson were, but we'd never switch the play. We'd never find them. It's really, for me, it's really infuriating to watch.
You can see that from the stands. Why you're not switching it? We're just like, it reminded me of last season against Leicester where we just found them hard to break down. I mean, we started rightly and we nearly had an early opener with Malard coming close in the first 2 minutes, but our effort went wide of the mark. But we were creating these chances, but just not finding, the back of the net. And it was like, even down that right side, I could see Geyse, and I was like, just make a few times. I thought, make a run, a ball can come over the top, but she always waited for the ball to come to her, and then she'd start to make a run. And I was like, I know you can most of the time probably get past these players, but just make a run forward and just give, Laetitia, or any of the other players a ball over the top, just split the defence apart. And just like, and say, because Geyse was literally every time on the ball, she's like, I can take any of these players on and I'll try and get past them. But yeah, it's just, we continued to cause problems throughout the first half. It was just, you just couldn't find the back of the net, and I'm just credit to Leicester, they were just holding in there. So just, we just couldn't find that like we did last season. We found the goal in the first half. This time it was just like, I don't know whether like the team were going through a bit like the motions, as you said, like it was like the one eye in the cup final. Some of them were like saying, well, we don't want to go too hard and then end up getting injured, or they want to make sure they do well enough to keep their place in the side as well. So yeah, it was a bit of a frustrating first half, and probably could have scored in that first half, but yeah, it's just weird one. It's just like felt like it was a bit like last season away there.
Yeah, John's put in there most entertaining in that first half with the banter with the steward. Yeah, for anyone who's there, obviously we did get told to sit down again, the same as we did at Villa Park and at Arsenal and so on. And to be fair to the steward, really nice guy, and was having a bit of a joke with us up at the top because he was forced to sit there with us for the whole game. But yeah, he fair play to him. It's just enforcing a rule that he didn't want to do. He openly said that he didn't want to do it. But
we were right at the back. All we wanted to do was stand there and sing. It was just like we're causing no one a problem. So the steward is the boss that came on. Was like, you got to sit down and not. I was like, come on, it's ridiculous. I think this is where, like in the WSL, it's like growing pains, as the league grows and grows more, we want these away ends and we want to be standing and singing as well. So it's just, fortunately, it's similar to like Leicester away last season, where we was told to sit down and basically keep quiet. I'm like, we're not going to keep quiet.
It wasn't great, but yeah, there wasn't too much to shout about.
It's always Leicester. Seems to be always Leicester.
Yes, I don't like going there. It's nice ground, not good away end. That's quite a comparison. If that steward is watching, that's quite something. Oh God. That's a slippery slope to go down, isn't it? Some people did. I don't know the full story, and I don't think it's right that we speculate on certain people that may or may not have got kicked out. So yeah, it's probably best we don't talk about that. But it was along those lines as well. I was following along with Connor's tweets. Oh, you talk about the game not being watchable. It was definitely on FA Player though. So maybe it was just a US thing. On that one. Best thing about the game was the amount of United fans there. Yes, there was definitely more United than Leicester. There was United fans like all across the stand, even in the far corner, kind of parallel to us. There was a lot of fans down there as well. The player of the match poll is in the chat. I've just realised I wanted to put Miyazawa on there, and I've just realised I've not. So I do apologise. But there we go. So I don't think it matters too much because Tooney's way out in front already, which we kind of thought. She would be. So Toone, Geyse, Laetitia, Malard, you have 4 options on this one. Again, if you disagree, we'll come back to it at the end and discuss why. On that one. Barry, what did you think of the first half? As kind of Linda's saying there, the game was about trying not to win. There was no intensity, just passing the ball kind of forward and backward. That's how it looked from the stands. It was very much just like playing it around the back. Just again, like I said, no intensity. But like I said at the start, I'm not really surprised because there's no real need to.
You have to cancel the poll and redo it, Connor. There's people here saying they would have voted for Hinny. It's going to be a tainted victory. Be outrageous.
I don't think I can put another poll in now.
This is going to be like Brexit if this carries on. Oh, dear. Well, what were we saying? We were saying the first half. First half, I mean, it was a tricky one. I think Geyse was pretty good first half. From what I can see, let me just grab my notes one moment. Yeah, there they are. I thought the Leicester defence didn't seem all that great. They had an opportunity or a few opportunities where they tried to play the ball out from the back, didn't do too well, and we caught them out, which was good to see. I think Leipzig really showed why you quite liked her as a goalkeeper, especially last year. I'm not convinced if we go to our team of the season that she's going to be winning the goalkeeper awards this season, but she was very good. Some great saves. The best one being the one from Malard, the little overhead kick that would have absolutely stuck a hole in the goal had it gone in, but it didn't because she got in the way. So fair play to her. I think Geyse's decision making was interesting again. Only really the one shot that really I think tested Leipzig. Some reasonable crossing, but people not necessarily on the end of it or cutting back, and it didn't quite work. There's one that she gave to Nelson, and Nelson then didn't get enough of a contact on it to get it into the middle. So, that was a shame as well. It's like there was all just nearly goes. There wasn't really anything that was clear cut as such. I was questioning why it was. We see it with Jade sometimes as well, but the right back coming into the middle, almost like a secondary centre midfielder to help Katie Zellum. And the mad thing about that is that it won't take too long. You don't have to be a UEFA A licensed coach to realise that if the right back comes into the centre, then the left's the place to go and try and attack, because your right back's not where they should be, and so they're going to be out of position. So I think that's a bit dangerous if we're going to be doing that. I think I would probably rather see one of the centre backs potentially push forward and act almost as a holding midfielder with Katie Zellum if they were going to do that, and then just get Blundell to have tucked in a bit and create a back three. At least then, if one of them's out of position, there's still a centre back. There's still people on the fullbacks, and that's not quite what happened. Gemma Evans, everybody was, praising her performance against Spurs. It's back to normal. In this game against Leicester, she wasn't bad, but she wasn't great either. There was nothing too special. And of course, Leah Goulton had quite a good shot as well from May Letizier's absolutely banging pass over the top. But again, it was all nearly ifs, buts, maybes. Just wasn't ideal, really. It wasn't a bad game in terms of the first half. It just wasn't a great one either. It just sort of happened. And everybody just fizzled out. It's a bit like when you have, you won't know this, Connor, because you don't watch them, but it's a bit like when you get a film and you have the first one, and the first one's great, and everyone's like, oh my God, that was such a good film. And then they decide they're going to do a sequel. Chelsea was the first film, and what we're seeing here against Leicester was the sequel. It was all right, but it's just nowhere near the original.
It's like Transformers, isn't it? That's a film I can relate back to. They made the first one and it was really good, and then they kept making them and they got worse. That's the only film I can think of.
Because I've never watched a Transformers film since, certainly not since I was about 8, when the Transformers were first cool.
The new, like the.
So I know there's newer ones. I'm not lived under a rock. I just didn't watch them.
Right, okay. The reason why I was laughing when you were talking there, because I think it was Jennifer that's just hopped in and said, apologies for watching the Tooney vlog. It made me laugh, right? So, obviously, Tooney dropped a vlog at 7 o'clock, and I've just noticed our views just go up by quite a considerable number a second ago. And I've just checked that video was 37 minutes or 36 minutes long. It's now 38 minutes past time I watched. So, that's
they
why.
Could have watched that one on replay.
Couple of these.
Have you noticed as well? She's got a podcast coming out with She Who Shall Not Be Named.
Isn't it already out?
Is it already out?
I don't know.
I don't
Maybe I saw a clip. Well, maybe it's just a clip I've seen. But yeah,
I'm not sure. I had something to say after what you said. That comment's thrown me. You were talking about the first half and everything. I can't remember what I was going to say now.
Like a film.
That's going to really bug me.
As it could have been.
Let me go back through the comments. It might refresh my memory. Even to you, Matt, by the way.
No.
I have a feeling, Matt, I saw you yesterday. I think I saw you on the way out. I'm not entirely sure, though. If you were stood near the back, kind of where we were, I have a feeling I saw you walking out.
That's what I thought, but I couldn't be sure.
Oh, Matt, I'll have to have have to see if that was you. Like, if you're at any of the next few games, I'm sure it was. But I saw quite a few people yesterday, so like I'm not. My memory's not great on that one.
I like this idea. So as we're looking for filler stuff that we're going to throw in, which player do we think Irene Gurerro could go on as and get away with looking like? Which would be the easiest one for her to come on as in disguise? Because like it won't be Tyler's Joy, she's too small for that. So,
what you think of another player in the United squad?
No, in the Leicester squad.
Well, no, I didn't know whether you were going for like down the Transformers route and wanted us to name like.
Well, no, she's not going to be Optimus Prime either. Imagine that. She just wheels herself on, and all of a sudden she's a fire truck.
Anyone she most looks like? I'm trying to think of players with like kind of like a ponytail or something like. Lisa's not a bad shout from me. Tooney with the hairstyle, yeah.
Lisa, did they say? She'd need a blonde wig. But...
Gemma Evans?
Gemma's not a bad shout actually either. When her hair's like kind of. Yeah. There you go. We'll leave that with you.
Norzell, they were the ones I were going to go with.
Yeah. Oh, it was you, Matt, as well. I knew it was. I'll say hello next time. Next time I see you.
I thought it was.
He must have been stood next to you, Andrew, because he walked past you.
I was like, is it? And I just thought, when you see it and you think, then you don't want to say that and you go, oh, it's not. And you're like, oh, you feel a bit of an idiot. But, yeah, I thought it was. There you go.
Speaking of hair, yes, I didn't see you yesterday. Got it, actually. Usually spot the quit. It's been shortened down. That's probably why. It's been trimmed. It's not as tall as usual, if you didn't see it. And yes, going back there, it did come out today in relation to the podcast that you were on about. So we are. Yeah, no, in regards to the first of the year, I agree. I think you summed it up well, but it was a lot of nearly moments. It was like, but the thing of the player moving into the midfield, right? So it creates a back three or a back two with Millie and Mayer. But my issue is all of last season, and I know we've got different players now, so it's going to be a different start and so on. What was so successful last season, Honor and Hannah were so high and wide and would always overlap the wingers. This season, because Blundell comes into midfield, and obviously we've got Gemma Evans on the left side, she's not obviously doing that either, because her natural instinct, because she's a centre-back, is to come back all the time. We don't have width. So when we're on the right-hand side, that's why I said Jason, Lisa, and Arson were in so much space. And there was a couple of occasions, I think Mayer had the ball, went to pass to Jace, and turned back around and went back to Mary. And it was like, you could see Jace is throwing her arms up, going like, what am I doing here? She's clearly been told to like stay out wide, but the ball never comes to her. And I can understand her frustration, because what is the point in being told to stay out wide? Obviously, to stretch the play, you want your wingers wide, so you pull the defence apart, so now it's compact. But we're not actually executing the plan. Say Shane. Well, you're looking confused at Barry. You got me thinking I've said something.
Help. I might be getting old. Can anyone tell me what a G1 character is?
Oh, no idea.
You have to help me out, Hyde. I don't know what we're talking about here. I'm absolutely lost. So, yeah.
I was going to say, I thought I was making a good point there, and then you looked at me so confused. I thought, what was I saying?
Yeah, I felt about the first half thing, but never mind.
But yeah, so that's what's frustrating for me, is that we've gone away from something that worked, and we're now not utilising the play. I feel like I still don't know what Highland's on about. I feel like we're not using the players to the best of their ability, and that to me is on the coaches.
Generation 1. Generations. Use the words. That'll be what it is. Yes, I've got the originals. But yes, I agree with everything you just said, Connor.
Yes,
Shame.
it was cold yesterday. It was more colder there than Old Trafford on Saturday.
Stood outside the front of the ground before the game. It's freezing.
Windy.
Yes, but my hair didn't move. It stayed in place. You see.
Not an inch out of place. It was.
Oh dear. Right, we'll move on to the second half then. In fact, let's just talk about the goal because Tooney did come on towards the end. Obviously, got the goal. Now, I'm seeing some people really downplaying this goal, and it's annoying me because where we were stood, Andrew, obviously we were right behind this in terms of kind of the flight of the ball. And I always say, if you want a long range shot, you want to be behind the ball because you can see the flight of it, and obviously the thing. Now, I'm going to just ask you a question. Obviously, Toone's performance when she came on, but also, do you think that is our goal of the season so far? I would add, because we might get a better one than that.
So, well, we needed someone to come on and change the game. And I was thinking in the second half, thought he's probably going to bring on Tooney, but I thought he'd bring on Rachel Williams as well, because she's known for getting the winning goals as well. There was somebody said to me yesterday about Rachel Williams, well, that's the first game where she hasn't come on or started, so I don't know on that one, but yeah, as I say, when Tooney did come on, it didn't take long to make an impact, and as I say, it was a goal worthy. As Skinner said after the end, it was a goal worthy of winning any game, and just like as soon as she got on that ball and then she put her boot through it, I thought this is going on target, and literally just smacked the back of the net, and I was just like, finally we just broken Leicester down, because they had a chance earlier on in the second half where we thought, how had they not scored as well, because the ball just rolled across the goal line, and their player, all I had to do was put a leg out, and then it would have been 1-0 to them. So, look, I say, Tooney come off on the bench and probably wanted to prove a point as well, saying, well, I didn't want to sit on the bench, I wanted to be starting, so lit a fire underneath her, and she went on to score as well. So, a contender for goal of the season. There could be, we've got how many games left now, and there could be another one that could be another contender. So, could be one in the FA Cup final. Who knows? Yes.
In terms of goals, I was just going to quickly say, in terms of goals of the season, Tooney's probably up there with with three of them, because the one against Newcastle off the left foot into the top corner, Brighton away in the league. There was that one as well. And now this one, I think the only other one's Millie Turner against West Ham. That was that kind of effort from her. As John Promotion said, Millie Turner. Yeah, they're the four that spring to mind. There might have been others, but they're the four that immediately spring to mind. Was that kind of like, in terms of what it. Obviously, we can say the Rachel Williams one against Chelsea in terms of a moment, but I wouldn't say that's the best technical goal we've scored.
I don't know. Villa away when Rachel Williams scored the winning goal at the start of the season, so I don't know. In terms of you saying like a worldie of a goal, and Tooney leads the way on all of those.
Tooney just loves scoring against Leicester. She did one a couple of years ago, kind of similar to that, but it was more central. She just loves to go against Leicester. She's always scoring against them. And to be fair, like I said this on the TikTok yesterday, like she didn't just come on and score that goal. I actually thought she was really good, like in and around the game as well. Like a lot of the chances we had after that came through her. So obviously, as we said, it creates that competition earlier on that she doesn't start the game, but she comes on with that. She looked like she was energized and had that fire to come on and prove a point. And look at the goal that she can produce. So I'll kind of ask you that question, Tooney. Do you think that's obviously one of our goals of the season, but also her overall performance when she came on?
I don't feel like I need to go on too much about the goal. It was superb. It's just what Ella Toone can do. We've always said this. She's got wands for feet when she wants to, and what she's absolutely shown there is that when she catches a ball brilliantly, there's probably nobody better in the WSL at getting that ball into areas where the goalkeeper is not going to save them. She scored some brilliant goals. She's got great touches when it comes from outside the box, especially. So, I love that. I think really this sort of brings the discussion full circle about bringing on new players. And this is part of the reason why starting with the other players is a good idea, because Ella Toone, for me, has reacted better to being benched than perhaps others might. Because what she's done there is she's been benched. She's seen Hinnie come in and start. And obviously, she's looked at that and gone, no, that's mine. That's my shirt, my spot, my area. And she wanders on and does that, which is basically what all of the first teamers should have been in a situation they can do. Come on and go, do you know what? Just have a look at that. That's what I do. That's what I bring to the party. She didn't do that. I did that. And that is how it could have worked. I mean, not so much for the goalkeeper, but same with Hayley Ladd. Bring her on. And then if Katie Zellum comes on for Hayley, whacking a good free kick or a corner or something, that shows why it is you should be chosen over Hayley Ladd. Again, this is where the competition would have come in well in this game, because you can bring these people on if the game's not going well, and that's your first team. And then, if anything, it strengthens your point, because then you go, well, look, it was 0-0 and we were pants, and then we bring on the good players who I should have started in the first place, and then we win. So that's my point proven. Not that he's got to do it to prove points to anyone, but that's how I would have run it. So I think it was a good impact. I think it's a little bit embarrassing is a strong word, but it's always a worry for me when you've got players that have been on there for over an hour that haven't made it to player of the match, and a player that comes on having played a shorter amount of time like that could potentially be player of the match. So that is a bit of a worry, because then you wonder about the impact of the players that started and had longer time to play. But personally, yeah, I would have been all about trying to get those first teamers to come on and show why they should keep their spot. And it might seem silly, but that's what I would have done, because it's a lot easier.
No, I agree with you. And I think, again, like you just said there about the competition side, I think that's what, as you said, she reacted well. Like I said, she came on, she's on the pole for a reason, not just because of that goal, even though she probably would have made it on there anyway, but she was good in and around that. She had another chance 5 minutes later. She was creating, she was running back and helping the team. Like, that's the Tooney I want to see. That maybe we've not seen as much this season, but I can understand the frustration at times during games. So I think I would have seen that from a couple of other players. And by no means, I didn't think Zellum and Nelson were great as a two in midfield. I thought Miyazawa was good, in terms of holding the ball up. I think she had one of the highest pass completions as well in the team throughout the whole game as well. So she had a good game for me. So it wasn't like Miyazawa didn't take her opportunity. I think she did. But I think when you're looking at other players as well, it's like that little bit of competition, and especially in midfield, because that's the one place we are absolutely. We've already spoken about Gurerro, the one position we are stacked. So yeah, I mean, Michael just asked a question about Tooney going to Arsenal. Trust, Tooney's never leaving United. She's certainly not to Arsenal.
She's the one player we've got contracted till something like 2053. She's not like she's here till she's doing anything.
Is it 27? Literally.
It's 26, I think, isn't it? She's the same as Lisa Nelson. I'm sure it's 26.
Yeah, because she signed it, and then a year later said, "Here's an extension." She went, "Yes." So I think if you put another one in front of her, she'd say yes. So Tooney, bleeds Man United. So yeah, it needed that moment of magic from her. And although we had enough chances to break the deadlock beforehand, it just needed Tooney just to unlock it for us. But yeah, just really frustrating we didn't do it beforehand as well. So, but I say, because we'd only won 3 of the previous WSL fixtures, so if we hadn't have won, the pressure would have intensified. Because Liverpool are breathing down our necks as well. It's not only that. I know, obviously, in terms of the league, but it's also about building that confidence and momentum in the team for the final. We spoke about it a lot, and I fully believe that and it's understandable. I think the heads have been turned by the final for a lot of players, and I get that. It's a big day, obviously, for the players and for the team, and because we're not fighting for the league like we were last year. But at the same time, you've still got to build a bit of. If we, like you said, if we'd have drew that or lost yesterday, all of a sudden that confidence for the final. I think I said to you, Andrew, after the game, the more we play, the less confident I am about the final, and we won yesterday because we're not
clicking at the moment. Something's like, if we go to Liverpool next week and don't win, I'm going to be nervous as anything for that final, because it's like, like anything can happen. Whereas after Chelsea, I was thinking, yeah, you know, we can do this, you know, and so on. But a little bit worried now.
The FA Cup final is the main priority for us. Say, in terms of yesterday result, it was a job done. We hoping we can hold on to fourth, but yeah, it's just, you could just see there was just one eye, you know, looking ahead, and I was just like, I remember seeing the same one, but we go game by game, but you can't help but think about that FA Cup final. You know, we want to go on to win it after last year's defeat. So yeah, it's in the back of their minds, of course.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of talk in the chat about Miedemar potentially. I think Amari are right. I think Miedemar will be leaving. And people have said she's obviously potentially United as well. Yeah, need to follow the same road as her idol, Van Persie. 100%. I agree with that one. Let's get Miedemar over to United. Be very happy with that. If Mead can come with as well, you know, get them both over.
No, my luck, we'd get them. No, my luck. No, our luck, we'd get them, and then they'd both do their ACL again. That's what it's been like, isn't it?
Or they'll be on the bench or something.
And that's gone.
Yeah, Mike's made a good point there. To be fair, don't worry, Spurs only draw at home to Brighton. They're not exactly pulling the trees either. I think it's a case for both teams that both teams are just looking for the final, and they're not, like I said before, you're not going to give that extra gear because of that fear of getting injured, burning yourself out, and these types of things. Maybe it's that. I don't know. But
to be fair, Amara, they've got to come for us first before that goes out into the universe.
Yeah, you could just imagine it. Can you come to United or like, I don't know, if they sit on the bench or something, they need to pass like, oh, they're not ready for the United style or something. You can imagine it. It's bad because I can imagine it as well. I just wanted to quickly go back to Lott's comment about something obviously I was talking about earlier. I feel like at the start of the season, Jay was doing more overlapping, but at some point stopped and moving into midfield instead. It's definitely been a change because especially in the last few weeks, we're seeing Mayer did it, Mannion's done it, and now Blundell's doing it, that we're going almost to a back three, and Geyse has been told to almost stay on the touchline, like so far out wide, and whoever's played out, let's be fair, obviously, whether it's Garcia or White, to stay out wide, stretch the opposition fullbacks out. But by doing that, you've got to find the pass. You can't just have them out there doing nothing, in my opinion, anyway.
Because May was so far in the first half. At one point, she was nearly in the 6-yard box. I thought she's wanting to carry on her goal scoring form. So, and like James, I know she's staying out wide, but as I said earlier, I felt like she could have, some of the balls that could have been played over the top, she could have made a run. She was just waiting for the ball to come to her. I was like, you can try and influence it in other ways as well. But I know she's good on dribbling on the ball as well. So, yeah, could have made a few more runs for my liking.
Mayer had a couple of shots as well from distance. I was like, go on, Mayer. Like, finally actually having a couple of efforts.
She was trying to do what Tooney did. I thought she had two, and I thought maybe third time lucky, and I thought Tooney just went, I'll have it instead.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, you know, we're actually having, because I've been crying out that Miyazawa's a prime example, and actually I think Lisa Nelson had an effort. I think I put it on our TikTok. Well, no, actually I'll put it on the Twitter. When JC runs down the right, beats a couple of players, gets the ball in, it goes to it goes to Lisa first. Lisa tries to stop on it, then plays it to Miyazawa. Then Miyazawa like stops on it and like tries to, and it's like, just take the shot. You're basically on the 6-yard line. I don't know why that first time in particular, we just seemed to try and walk it in. It was like we weren't taking effort, and that's why I said fair play to Mayer, who just thought, you know what, let's actually have an effort at goal here because we're not actually testing Leipzig at all. I do just very quickly on the Tooney goal. That's what I was going to say. I think Andrew, you said this. It was going to say something like that to win the game. To beat Leipzig, it's got to be something special. And she's a tall keeper. You know, when you're looking at her, the size of her in the goal, to get that above her, that's got to be right in the top corner.
I don't agree. It's got to be something special. There just needs to be something accurate. The thing was, like, you look at Malard. She's a great overhead kick, but it was straight at her, so it was always going to be all right. It doesn't necessarily have to be special because we've beaten them before without scoring special goals. You know, it wasn't an halfway liner. I think if you can be accurate with it and find those sort of top bins or low down so that it's nearer to the post and she's got to dive, that's what it is. I mean, I get what you're saying, but You know, it doesn't have to be special. If you just pass the ball across there and toe poke it in at the far end, that's not special. But she ain't saving that because she's not, what's his name, Stretchy Joe. What do you call him? Stretch Armstrong. That's what I was after. Stretchy Joe.
Yeah, and I agree to a point, and I think, you know, I'm just going to leave you with that, Barry. I think, like JJ said there, obviously, when you look at the stats are heavily in our favour. 9 shots on goal doesn't sound too bad, but I would argue 7 or 8 of them are right at her down the middle and have no power on them. In terms of the actual shots we had, yeah, and as Marie said, our shots are far too. Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of the shots we had on target that go down as shots on target, they were not. I wouldn't like count them as like really good efforts. Like I think the only couple of saves, obviously the one from Malard, but then the one in the second half where Geyse hits it along the floor and Leipzig sticks her leg out. Yeah, that was a good save. But other than that, I don't remember her making anything else. So what she needed to do. But yeah, fair play to Tooney, broke the deadlock, and the longest extra time I've ever been in a ground commenced after that. But what worried me a little bit was the fact Leicester were getting chances after. Leicester, for me, had the better of the chances after that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we spoke about the one a bit earlier when Mary obviously went down. But towards the end of the game, Deanne Rose in particular on the left-hand side was causing a lot of issues.
She was causing Blundell a lot of problems because I thought Hannah just keep her on the outside, but Deanne Rose was, trying to come inside on to the 6-yard box as well. So it was like we had to have our wits about us.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't the comfortable end to the game that we thought we might get. It really put us 1-0 up. Yes, Marie, that's the one I was on about. So that chance where Geyse runs down the right, she beats a couple of players, plays it, and Lisa scuffs it. It then falls to Miyazawa. She kind of does nothing with it. Then it goes up in the air, and that's where Malard does the overhead kick. So, yeah. If you're on about Deanne Rose, she was exceptional for me on the left-hand side for Leicester. To be fair, very similar to Garcia, though. Very quick, injected energy and pace into the game, but that end product just maybe wasn't there, enough to cause too many issues. Because we did have a chance. I can't remember whether this was before or after the goal. It might have been before. Where was it? No, it must have been after because it was Garcia that did. I can't remember when it was now. But like Garcia had that chance where she kind of ran to the byline. It kind of got cut back, and then Blundell just like passed it across, and it just kind of rolled across like 2 yards out. And it's like that's where you want your striker then, kind of coming in onto that and so on. But we just didn't have anyone kind of within any remit, in terms of around that area, which is a shame.
I mean, I think you talk about the bits at the end. I think that before the goal was when they had, as you say, their best chances. They should have been 1-0 up before Ella Toone even got on the pitch. How that ball's hit the post from the position she was in, I will never know. But that had sort of Bayern Munich sort of vibes around it because the goal had protective charms. I think Emma Watson had been around the goal beforehand, giving it all the protective charms that were necessary to make sure the ball didn't go in, because that was just unbelievable. So they should have been 1-0 up there. And then even after Tooney came on, Mary Apps had to make an incredible save as well herself. It was incredible, but she had to get down low to get there. So they had a couple of good opportunities before we finally did take the lead. And I think once we did, most of it was good. They had a good free kick that was saved by Mary Apps towards the end as well. But we did ride our luck, I think, a little bit on that one. And, it's one of those. It's tricky, very tricky.
No, it certainly is on that one. I just wanted to quickly touch on Miyazawa because she's obviously come back from an injury herself, came into the side. She was the big starter, in this one. Andrew, what did you make of her overall performance? Because I'm pretty sure she got one of the highest pass completions in the team. For me, she was key to a lot of our attack in the first half. That's granted, there wasn't loads of clear-cut chances. But for me, she did well in terms of what she did on the ball, off the ball. She was tracking back, working hard, and I actually thought she did all right.
Yeah, she did really well for getting in the starting 11 as well. And I'm just like, she's finding lots of spaces as well, small pockets as well. And it's like, the attack, when it was building up, she was a part of that, which we wanted to see as well. So even when we'd lost possession of the ball, she was the one, as you said, tracking back and putting the tackles in. So she wanted, as you say, fighting for a place inside. She's probably thinking of that finals, like most of the players are as well. She probably thinks, well, I want to impress here and force my way into this side as well. So I'd say I think she might have given Skinner maybe a little food for thought as well. I was like, you can potentially maybe start her against Liverpool. I don't know, but you might just choose the lineup for Liverpool. It's going to be the same for the FA Cup final. But yeah, she did really well.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, he was kind of put it there about, little pocket rocket. That's a nice way of describing it. I think she's just exceptional. I think, who did I said to? Was it you, Andrew, before the game saying, I'd like to see Miyazawa in our front three? Because for Japan, she plays in that front three. She was the top scorer at the World Cup because she played in the front three for Japan. And she was exceptional at it. Obviously, with United, we've kind of moved her into mid. And to be fair, in the Japanese league where we signed her from, she was playing in midfield. She wasn't this goal scorer that we saw at the World Cup anyway. I wouldn't mind giving it a go. Why not? We haven't got the games now to try it. Maybe in pre-season, we'll see it over the summer. But
you never know. Skinner might throw a curveball before the end of the season. You never know.
Could you imagine in the final?
He goes a bit rogue, and we're like, "What's he doing?" And then we're like trying to work it out.
Oh dear. Baron, have you got anything to add on Miyazawa's performance before we come to player of the match?
Yeah, I thought it was a good performance. As good as it can be for what was a mostly average sort of performance from the team. But I think what I find interesting about the whole Miyazawa thing takes us back again to the choices. Like, what's the difference between Miyazawa and Gurerro and Ladd? All of these people have been internationals and have played often. And I just find it quite interesting that we've decided not to play Gurerro, but yet Hinney's given a chance. And she should be. Like, I'm not suggesting that Hinney should have been sat on the bench and Tooney should have started. But this is the point that we're talking about, is that these players should be given these opportunities. And, Miyazawa was not pulled up any trees while she's been here. Even before the injury, she wasn't a first choice. She wasn't going to be pushing Ella Toone out of it. She wasn't going to be. Yeah, I'm not suggesting they're the same players. I'm just saying that they're all players that haven't had the opportunity to play this season. You could argue that Gurerro could be swapped with Nelson. I've always said it. Midfield is our strongest position in terms of the options that we've got, and all three of those players could be rotated for the three players that we just mentioned, but two of them are not. Hayley Ladd's not playing, Gurerro's not playing. Why has this happened? Why are we in a situation where they're not able to play? But Miyazawa was, and I just find it very, very, very odd that he's happy to give her a chance when she's just come back from injury and do all of that, but not Gurerro. Like, there is something going on. I don't know what it is, genuinely, not a clue, but there is something behind the scenes of this football club that it just doesn't sit right. It doesn't seem correct that you would have these players there and not play them. And I think that's just where you end up with here. So, she's good, needs to perhaps pull the trigger a bit more and have a few more chances and have a go. It's not about her scoring goals. It's about her being involved and helping to get the ball forward and to progress the ball towards the goal. But no, I don't know what it is that they're trying to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think, like you said there, obviously she went out injured. And I tweeted it yesterday. That was Miyazawa's first start since the 26th of November. So as soon as she was ready to start, she started. As I said earlier, when you've got the likes of Gurerro. Ladd, again, is another weird. I keep forgetting about her, but she signed an extension at the back end of the year. And then since then, we don't see her. And I don't understand why. Like, she has had more minutes, granted, but...
Well, Mike's just put there this. You can sort of understand Ladd not getting more minutes because Mark knows what she can do in competitive games and she's done it before. So for me, all the more reason, I still can't believe I said this, especially after her amazing assist for Ella Toone's goal, but all the more reason why Hayley Ladd could have played instead of Katie Zenham. Like, we know what we're going to get from Hayley Ladd. It's not like we're sitting there going, oh my God, what can she do? Exactly that. All the more reason why she could have been given a chance. and Casey could have had a little bit of a rest. I just think it's mad. It's actually mad.
And that's it. You think of the bigger picture. Katie, that midfield for me is what starts in the final. It's going to be Katie, Lisa, and Tooney. I think we pretty much all know that that's likely going to be the midfield that we see. But for me, you get a better Katie in the final if you would have rested her in this one. Like, play her next week against Liverpool, fine. Obviously, because like I said, I think we need to be mentally ready for the final next week against Liverpool and treat that game, as kind of aggressively is the wrong word, but as thing is, we're going to be in the final. But this one, why not give them a day off and let them rest for a little bit, just for ahead of the final. Like I said, then you will see better performances from them. But there we are. It's just bizarre. As I say, I don't quite understand it, but who knows? On that one, I'll be sick if we lose the cup finals, but I don't even want to think about it. I genuinely don't want to think about it. There was a comment, I think Dave just put it, saying maybe Hinney's a better player. Maybe, but we don't know. I think that's the problem. Obviously we're not there in training. I get that, but at the end of the day,
we're not. But I'm going to throw it back again because this. How do I put this in layman's terms? This is the equivalent of going to Curry's, other electrical shops are available, and buying 2 washing machines and only using one of them. Why are you buying 2 washing machines? You only need one, right? So if you only buy 1 washing machine, you use that washing machine. If you buy 2 washing machines, it's because you need 2 washing machines. So you should use both of them. Now, equally, if you go and you buy a pen to write with, you might not always write with the same pen. You might want to change the pen that you're using. But you'd use them. You don't just buy a pen. You shouldn't buy one and then just throw it in the drawer and go, I'm never going to use that pen. The point is, whatever you buy, you tend to use. It's like going to Tesco's, buying some crackers and going, I ain't eating them. I'm just going to leave them in the cupboard, let them get mouldy. Why would you do it? So if you're not going to play the player, don't bloody buy them. It's not hard. But why am I getting angry? I shouldn't even be angry. It doesn't make sense. I think they might be crap. Don't buy them.
It's exactly like what Mike said there as well. Like, if Casey got injured or Lisa, the usual midfield trio that we see, the midfielders that you're then going to bring on have not played enough minutes and that's why I agreed with Miyazawa starting, because then she's more match.
How do they play 30 or 40 games to make that a seamless transition? They need all that time to play with each other, to know what each other does. That's per role, don't forget. God knows what happens behind. These kids need to be retired by the time they actually know what's going on.
There was a thing from Annabelle, and I think your name's changed since we've got you. I think that's the same person who used to be in the Annabelle and April show. Talking about why is the goalkeeper so Ian Wilcox obviously is usually on the sideline. I actually didn't think Skinner was there at one point, because I remember, I think I said to John or to Rob, I was like, I've not seen Mark once. And for the whole of the first half, he did come out in the end and was on the technical, but it was Ian and Charlotte for the most part. Which I don't think is a massive thing. With last season, it was Martin Ho more on the touchline and it was Mark. So it's not a new thing as such. I'll be more worried about the players just not going over to the side. Whenever there's a breaking play, every other team goes to the side. We don't. Zella keeps the players away. And I'd be more worried about that, to be honest.
Do you know what? The pen idea really does work. It really does. Because when you go and buy a pen, you use them, right? But there's some pens... genuinely,
I got my pen next.
I've got like a gold Sharpie and a gold one here, and I would only use these when Christmas comes around, so I can write on Christmas cards and things like that. So then it looks a little bit snazzy and good. I'm not using that to sit here and write notes for AFU. No, that's not going to happen. When I'm doing that, just use a pencil, something like that, right? And I've got loads of them. I've got loads of pens and pencils, but I'm going to use them all. I haven't gone out there and gone, that's a really nice pen. I'm going to buy that pen. And then put it down and go, I shall never touch that. And then look at the pen and go, oh, nice pen. No, I'm not going to use that. The only way I wouldn't use a pen is if it was a gift. If somebody gave it to me and it had sentimental value, which is why I question, was Irene Gurerro a gift? Not one purchased by Mark Skinner for use.
No, I can't say that. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a bit annoying, to be honest. But there we go. It's such a weird season, isn't it? I think Jennifer put this earlier on, but we won the game. Yeah, we did. But to me, I think it's important to highlight the the negatives in it as well, because it's not been a great season. Obviously, we can hope for better next season. Like I said, we go on and win the FA Cup. That match reaction show the day after we win the FA Cup is going to be the best show we've ever done on this channel. It's going to be insane. But, you know, I think when you're looking at, I don't want us to win the FA Cup but then finish like 6th or something, because it's just, the FA Cup will feel amazing at the time, but then when you sit down and reflect, it's like it just takes that edge off winning it, because it's like, oh, well, we've been so bad in the league. So, yeah, I want us to actually finish strong in the league as well and make it look like
what I would say, Imara's just putting here, whether Skinner wanted her or not, he has to be able to find where she fits into the team, where she can help, what she can bring to the team. I disagree. I've got a bottle of red wine in my cupboard that I will never drink. I hate red wine, hate it. But sometimes people buy you red wine as a gift. And because I'm not an absolute git, although obviously if they watch this, they'll now realise, but I can't do anything about that. I hate it. I'm never going to drink it. It's either going to be given to somebody else, or I wait until someone else comes around that likes it and let them have it. Or if I'm feeling particularly Gordon Ramsay, I might make myself a nice, sauce with it while making a casserole of some sort. The point I'm getting at, 100%, is that if you don't buy it, you don't have to use it. It's not your job to do that. If somebody else forces that upon you, why should you? If you're not happy with it and it doesn't fit your system, you don't have to. It's not like an absolute you must. But what I would say is that is absolutely mental. That you can have someone who is as good as she is and not give her the chance to do it. On a game like this, that means absolutely nothing. Red wine on the chips.
That's literally what I was just reacting on the chips.
Right. That's not you. I'm Arteta, behave. On the chips.
What?
It's like Connor saying he eats a burger with a knife and fork.
I've never heard of that.
Nah, nor have I.
God, sorry, pal. I've never heard of red wine on chips.
I've had a gravy. I've had a curry sauce. I've never been into my local fish and chip shop and gone, bottle of red wine with that, please. This is Connor-esque. Is this your burner account?
I'm intrigued. No, we're not like other people. I'm intrigued to know what you Andrew got it. I'm intrigued to know what you like how that's done. Like, do you have to burn burn the wine down? Like, do you just pour it straight on? How does that
burn the wine down?
Well, like you put, you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean, but I just got visions of you trying to set light to wine now. I'm wondering why it won't do anything.
You're gonna have to follow this up, mate. Because I'm really
really hard. By the way, lemon vinegar is not too bad. You have the vinegar with the oil there. It's got to be vinegar and olive oil. Otherwise, balsamic vinegar and olive oil. That just vinegar, bit weird.
Yes. Positive made an interesting point. The United admin loves putting Gurerro on everything. Guerrero's the fit. She was I think they used her as like the pre-match thing as well. Not, I know Malard was on the pre-match post or whatever. But Irene was the pictures they tweeted before.
Cheap stuff tastes like vinegar.
I'm not so sure about that.
Going? He does. I like this. Put a bolognese in the red wine. That's good. See what he did there.
Oh, dear. Yes, Kevin, it'll be on Friday. We will have a Liverpool preview. I'll make sure we do that one. That's what we're doing this Leicester, but we will be back doing previews on. Yes, we play Sunday, don't we? So, yeah, it's bank holiday weekend as well. I've only just remembered that. So, yes, next Monday.
Also, can we imagine this? If, like my gold Sharpie, Irene Gurerro comes on or starts the FA Cup final and scores the winning goal, and that's like literally all she does all season.
That was summer season, not too.
This is how legends are made. That one.
Do you know it'd be ironic though when you're thinking about it? I know it's not our last game of the season. I know Chelsea is, but do you remember when obviously Ollie left the men's side and Van der Beek was the last goal scorer, the player that he never played and obviously saw glimpses of it, maybe wasn't good enough. Can you imagine if Gurerro is the last goal scorer if Mark Skinner is to leave in the summer, that Gurerro gets that last goal under the Mark Skinner kind of era at United as well? it would kind of be a little bit of parallels. Anyone who scores at Wembley and wins us the cup deserves a statue at LSV, in my opinion. Get them all there. Why not? Get the full team. Just take up the old car park. Why not? Should we go on to player of the match? We said we were going to do that about 20 minutes ago.
I told you it was going to be an hour and a quarter, didn't I?
Oh, dear. I've written down 5 questions. I thought it'll be shorter today. Here we go. And there's only 3 of us as well. Goodbye, Amara. I think she's leaving the chat, so have a good evening. You are. I thought it was. I was going to say, you've got like a load of ats in your name now. Exclamation mark and all sorts. There we go. Right, player of the match. Who are you two going for on this one?
Hang on. Don't want to go Tooney because it was her that broke the deadlock, so she provided that moment and Malik. So I'll go with Tooney, and she's clearly probably won the poll anyway. So yeah.
I thought we'd frozen then.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah, we're frozen. Sorry.
Is it just me on my own?
I was just looking to see if you had actually redone the poll, but you didn't.
I can't. You can't do 2 polls in the same stream.
That's outrageous. You can't just delete one. That's terrible. We will name the burger that Connor eats without cutlery the Gurerro. Is that because it only appears once?
And never seen again.
Thank you very much. So, okay, I can't go Zellum, even though it was a fantastic assist. I did not click for Ella Toone. Again, for the same reason I said before, it's a good goal, that's fine, but I just, it was too small of a match for me for her to have won that. I actually went for Geyse, purely because, again, if anything was going to happen, it looked like it was going to happen from that side with the effort that she had put in. I think you could have made an argument for any one of those. For Ella's goal was superb. May Letitia, again, solid at the back, great balls going forward. Malard, I thought, was quite good as well. Got in the right places, was getting involved as well. Not just in the 9 role, but also sort of putting herself back to the 10 role, trying to win the ball back. But yeah, I went for the player that got the least amount of clicks. But that was merely because, like I say, having watched her, she did look again like very dangerous. So that was the one I would have gone for. But I'm happy to be beaten.
Yeah, well, the chat has gone for. I have ended it, but I've lost the. I can't actually see what the percentages were. Tooney definitely won it on 55, but I can't see what the others were.
Geyse got 12. Malard got 13, so very close. May Letitia got 18, and Ella Toone 55.
There we go. Yeah, I would have actually gone for Malard. You know, I thought she led the line well. She didn't get a goal, but I thought she was. It was between her and Jason the right for me out of those two. I thought that if anything that you said was going to come, I know Tooney obviously got it, and I'm not against it either. To be fair, you know, there's a lot of Hinny shouts in the chat. I do apologise. It's my error on this one. What I will say though, because Tooney has won that player of the match, I've just double checked. So with only 3 games left, there's only a handful of players now that can beat Tooney to our. For people who don't know, we've been counting these throughout the season, how many each player has got. Tooney is now 3 ahead of the next few players down. Those players being Geyse, Letitia, Paris, and Nelson. So only those players can go level with Toone this season in terms of most player of the matches won this season. So yeah,
that's Barry level punnery. That's unbelievable. Awesome.
Malard played tough. I just love watching Malard, especially down as the 9, and her link up with Geyse as well on the right hand side. I thought was brilliant as well. Something that we've not seen enough of this season. mouth moves. Yeah, there's a lot of different shots, and I think that's a good thing in some ways. Although the performance, we've spent an hour and 20 minutes or so not speaking as positively as maybe we thought we were going to, but overall, there was some good performances in there. Right, we'll wrap it up there. We'll be back on Friday talking all things Liverpool. We're obviously back as usual Monday match reaction next week at 7:00. If you're not already, come and follow the socials, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all at All for United WFC. We'll be doing a few more lives on TikTok, because, like I said, I did one yesterday and it was extremely successful, way more successful than I thought it was going to be. So I'll be doing a few more of those throughout the week as well, with some other guests as well, who you may recognise, some other content creators in the space, so keep your eye on that one. All for Women's Football, we're live in 7 minutes. Mia is doing a show over there as well, so come and check that one out as well. Thanks to Andrew and Barry for giving up their Mondays. They're two staunchly always coming on. They're always reliable, these two, in terms of appearances throughout the season when we come to our appearance tallies. We get to the end of the season, and can we just say we've gone through a full show, none of us have dropped out. That is the biggest win for me throughout this whole thing. Barry, don't you dare just hold that face. Just try. I knew you as soon as I was saying that. I thought you were going to do it. So, don't be trying that one on me. Thanks to everyone in the comments as well, and thanks to everyone who's comments on our tweets and TikTok and all those kind of things over the last kind of few weeks as well. It's been absolutely amazing. Make sure you're liking the video, subscribe, and liking the video is the most important thing, actually, because the last time I was on and I got kicked out, Barry said kept pushing the likes, and that's one of our most liked videos, and I wasn't on it because I backed out. So can we get this this video up on the likes as well?
Ron 36, leave it there. That's beautiful. Well done.
That would be appreciated. Have a good evening all, and we shall see you guys in the next one.